in a vast ocean of sound whose infinite waves ripple the shores of our awareness in myriad patterns of intricate and infinite designs. Those same massive forces which turn the tides, stirring the mysterious depths where light so seldom penetrates, permeate our psyche, our bodies, to the very core of our being. Indeed, every aspect of nature pulsates in an endless interplay of delicate and immeasurably complex vibrations of which we are almost entirely unaware. Yet, just because we're unaware of them, doesn't mean that these sounds, with their particular rhythms, pitches, and harmonics, don't convey a wealth of direct messages to our subconscious. All vibrations, from the most subtle to the most obvious, have specific emotional and physical effects upon us, as well as effects which are still largely unknown. We know how much influence the soundtrack of a movie has on our feelings.
All right, stand by.
But we rarely consider the enormous role which sound plays in our daily lives. Human beings, especially those of us in urban settings, have created our own sonic atmosphere. Yet regardless of where you are, as you are viewing this video, you are influenced by a multitude of artificial sounds. From an esoteric point of view, sound is the cause and origin of the universe. As Gnostic master Samael says,
Prana is the great breath. Prana is the cosmic Christ. Prana is the life that beats in each atom as it beats in each sun. Because of prana, the fire burns, the water flows, and the wind blows. The sun exists on account of prana. Our life is prana. Nothing in the universe could exist without prana. The most insignificant insect could not be born. The most delicate flower could not bud. Prana is universal energy. Prana is vibration, and vibration is sound.
the Vedic tradition calls it Nada Brahma, sound creator.
The Gospel of John says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made." There, in the absolute abstract space, the first manifestation of our Creator was vibration, nada or sound, and the second was Chatananda, light or visibility, which is merely a state of the same vibration. Together they are both part of the law of cause and effect. That the word or vibration creates and that the word in and of itself is the basis for matter should not be strange to us. Einstein's theory of relativity tells us that energy equals the mass or matter multiplied by the square root of the speed of light. This explains that the difference between matter and energy lies in its state of vibration, the speed of its oscillations. In other words, Einstein proved mathematically that sound in and of itself is the basis of matter. Furthermore, speaking of the unified field, or the law of everything, he came to the conclusion that everything is in motion.
A glimmering array in which nature creates geometric forms by means of vibration can be seen in Chladni's sound plate. It is a bronze plate mounted over a rigid support, in which sand is scattered on top of the plate. When a violin bow is drawn across the edge of the plate, a tone or vibration is made. Simultaneously, the sand on top of the surface forms a well-defined and sometimes quite complex geometric design. Master Samael said,
Akash is super-astral fire. Akash is primordial sound. The sounds condense through the mediation of Akash. It is impossible to make concrete and materialize sound without Akash. The pranasvayus are sounding waves of Akash. These sounding waves condense themselves in the tattvas of the ether. The tattvas materialize themselves in the four elements of nature: fire, air, water, and earth. The chemical physical world is the outcome of the materialization of sound. The chemical physical world is condensed sound.
200 years after Chladni's work, the Swiss scientist Hans Jenny, student of Rudolf Steiner, repeated and expanded Chladni's experiments, demonstrating and photographing extensively how sound forms intricate geometric designs with smoke, fine grains, powders and liquids, transforming them into beautiful structures, very similar to nature's organic and inorganic forms.
Let us see how vibration shapes the sand in this bronze plate. As we increase the frequency of vibration, in other words, change it to a higher pitch, the geometric form changes. It becomes more complex. We can also use differently shaped plates. The plate in these experiments represents space, or the unified field. Likewise, vibrations on a steel plate also produce this more elaborate figure.
In this example, Jenny used sand and lycopodium powder. The lycopodium moves to the center of the fields and picks up circular shapes. The sand forms the lines. Each material has its own special way of behaving. Here we see lycopodium alone. As we change the tone or vibration, it transitions to a mobile flowing phase. When we return to the original tone, the powder returns to its original shape. Let's note that we start with a specific tone. As we increase the cycles per second of the vibrations of the tone, the shape acquires a more complex form. When the tone reaches the octave, the figure duplicates.
In this example with lycopodium powder, we can see how the material rises in the middle and is transported to the periphery. This pile of dust, this heap of particles, is in a process of convection. The material travels inwards from the edge, along the bottom of the pile, rises in the middle, and is then carried back to the periphery. Even if the intensity or volume of the vibration changes, there is still a whole system of radial circulation. At certain frequencies or with certain tones, an extraordinarily interesting phenomenon is seen. Watch. We see two regularly and continuously rotating areas at either end of the diameter, going round and round like weather clocks. This is the expression of rotating wave motion. We can see that they are rotating in an anti-clockwise direction.
We now switch to a different frequency and produce the same phenomenon, but this time in a clockwise direction. If we go back to the previous frequency, we have the same phenomenon again in a counterclockwise direction. Notice that this rotary movement does not affect the circulation or convection in the least. This is a particularly interesting phenomenon. In the following images of systems in rotation, we can see the results Jenny discovered by using crystal oscillators. It resembles a system of galaxies, the cosmos.
Gnostic Master Samael tells us, movement is co-essential to sound.
In this experiment, by changing the amplitude, that is, changing the volume of the tone, we can bring about a very interesting phenomenon. The tone is the same, but we introduce a burst, an amplitude burst, caused by the sudden increase in volume. Every time we repeat the procedure, the same phenomenon occurs.
This next experiment is extraordinarily interesting. We are looking into a funnel. We apply vibration, and we see how the lycopodium powder is brought out at the bottom of the funnel. It is transported upwards against the force of gravity, but it is not simply thrown out. The powder moves around the periphery of the diaphragm, around the circumference, and then it goes down into the funnel again.
If we intensify the tone, then the upward march of the material is preponderant. If we make the tone soft, the material slides down again because the static friction on the bottom surface of the diaphragm is reduced. The adhesion is reduced and consequently the powder slides down again when the vibration is less intense. At times, we then have a process in which the material moves out, and at other times a process in which it slips back down. When it slips back, it covers the whole cone. When it slips out, it climbs up the wall of the cone. On one hand, we have a centrifugal force which defies gravity, and on the other hand, a centripetal force resulting from reduced adhesion. When the vibration is of a particular character, we have a process in which the material is transported out and at the same time it slips back, so that there is convection current on a grand scale. This is a detail from part of the edge. It is a complex phenomenon, but actually its organization is unitary.
This formation with 4 fields reminds us of the sign for infinity, the Holy Eight. We are throwing powder into the formation. As we throw the powder, it is embodied in the exact quadrantal flow pattern created by the vibration. This is a good example of how vibration maintains and sustains the universe.
In the vibration fields of this lycopodium powder and of other materials, we saw time and again that in certain places the material is thrown up as if it were erupting. At other instances, all is quiet, and then it is thrown up once more, and so on consecutively.
This is an example of a membrane to which we have applied a magnet and vibration simultaneously. Because of the reduced adhesion, the particles of iron have certain degrees of freedom. They can move, fall in a line, form very interesting geometric figures, and almost dance, but only in obedience to the vibration imposed. Even these serpent-like formations are produced simply by vibration over areas of the vibrating membrane, representing movement processes.
The human voice could also be made visible with a simple apparatus. The various vowels show typical characteristics depending on the nature of their sound. We can see the spectrum, as it were, of the sound. A sequence of some notes comes out as a sequence of vibrating patterns.
A phonetic combination created with wisdom produces the mantrams. Therefore, a mantram is a wise combination of letters whose sounds determine spiritual, anemic, and also physical effects. Gnostic master Samael Aounveor.
Music can also be made visible. The same membrane that emits the music can also make its vibrating process visible through the medium of fluid. Here we have the last 89 bars of the first movement of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony. We can see Mozart while we hear it. Notice that every time the music repeats the same phrase, the geometric pattern repeats as well.
The power of sound or vibration is such that it can create as well as destroy. The Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto, by way of photographing frozen water droplets, has studied the crystal formations or molecular structure of water and how these are affected by the vibrational influences of the medium. In his book, The Message from Water, he published the results of his experiments. Let's see some of them.
These photos of frozen water droplets proceeding from two different sources will serve to illustrate the destruction that can be produced by a vibration that's inharmonic or dissonant. The first is pure spring water, and the second is water from Japan's Yodo River, which has a high pollution level. Let's notice the big difference between the two. Notice the structural or molecular deformation caused by the pollution.
In another experiment, Emoto placed bottles of distilled water between two speakers, subjecting them to 24 hours of continuous music. One bottle was subjected to Beethoven's Pastoral, while the other to heavy metal rock. Clearly, we can see the power of music and sound, and we can see the effect caused by dissonant music.
These photos are clear proof of how sound, a person's vibratory energy, thoughts, written words, spoken words, ideas and music not only affect us psychically and emotionally, but also can alter our molecular structure. Let's remember that, like our planet, our body is composed of 80% liquids. The second photograph could easily represent a cell in our body. That's why it's important to carefully select the impressions we emit and receive. The next images show us another of Emoto's experiment. This time, he wrote the name of two famous people in a piece of paper and attached them to bottles containing distilled water in a way that the letters faced the water. After 24 hours of exposure, he froze and studied the drops of water from each bottle. Gnostic Master Samael has told us so much about the power of words, whether spoken, written, or just as a mere thought.
In every word, there's an internal and an external value. The essence or principal substance of the word is precisely its internal value. The internal element of the word cannot be found inside our tridimensional space. We need to find the internal element of the word in the superior space, the fourth dimension, with dimensions superior to ours. Our space appears before us only as a part of the total space. That's how we conclude that we do not know all of the space. The only thing we know is that small portion that can be measured in terms of longitude, latitude, and height. The internal element of the word is processed geometrically at the superior dimensions of space. Gnostic Master Samael Aun Weor, the Universal Sound.
In these photographs, we can see another proof of the internal value of words. Emoto wrote the word wisdom in 3 different languages: Japanese, English, and German. Notice how the 3 crystal formations are almost identical. Not all destruction is negative. Everything in the universe has a dual aspect. Duality exists because it's needed. We need both, the creative and destructive energy of the universe, each in its proper place.
Who among us is not working to eliminate, destroy, or annihilate the ego? And of course, we use sound, vibration, and the mantram Krim. Sound disintegrates the ego because the mantram in and of itself harmoniously integrates all of nature's forces and energy. It directs this energy towards that which is a knot in the flow of nature, which is like a dissonant note in the staff of a master composer. The out-of-tune instrument that affects and disrupts the orchestra of intelligent and self-conscious principles that is our being. Carlos Guevara.
Sound created the universe, therefore everything in it can be altered or affected by that same force that created it.
Sound, vibration, our emotions, our thoughts, and the written or spoken word affect, alter, and change everything that is created. Through sound, we can create harmonic states that can liberate the inharmonic energy trapped within us.
Let's look at these photographs of a highly polluted dam before and after prayer offerings. Prayer can change our vibrational state. The power of prayer, as we already know, depends on our emotional state. In other words, it's a matter of connecting with a proper harmonious state of vibration, since it is the vibration that creates. Let's remember the extraordinary effect that sound has over matter. Let us remember the potential present in the midst of chaos for the surgence of the most delicate and elaborate order of nature. Each word we emit, each thought we think, each vibration creates and maintains a specific state. That's why Gnostic Master Samael says,
Vulgar words, dissonant words, arrhythmic words modify with their vibrations the creative energy, giving them an absolutely fatal mode of vibration. A soft word appeases anger, and the dissonant words break the harmony of the cosmic diapason and generate disorder. Gnostic Master Samael.
Compassion, love, and understanding create a beautiful and sublime state, a state in harmony with the universe, a state that goes beyond external beauty, a state that fulfills nature, our planet and the cosmos, and connects us with the harmonies of heaven and earth.
The harmonies of heaven and earth are within us, and it is up to us to be in harmony with them.
Obviamente, las 7 notas do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si se hallan relacionadas con todos los eventos de la vida. Así que es muy importante esto de las 7 notas de escala musical, de la corriente del sonido.